Welcome to another great edition of Scaling with Insights, where we bring in top industry leaders to share their insights of what's working well to scale their businesses. My name is John Russo. I'm a former CMO turned entrepreneur. Now I'm helping other businesses scale, grow, and measure their business for effectiveness. So I want to welcome Auseh Britt to the show. She's VP of Growth Marketing at Terminus. Auseh is also a former client of B2B Fusion. Auseh, welcome to the show. Really excited to have you here.
Thanks, John. It's good to be here.
And despite my little fumble there with the hiccup, well, I was saying that I'm really excited to have you on. I know that you're newer into your role in the transition over to Terminus, and you and I share a similar passion around account-based marketing. Maybe you could just share some of the things that you're starting to see account-based marketing wise with your peers, or what you're hearing internally, or even within Terminus.
Yeah, sure. So I've been doing account-based marketing now for a few years. Like John, you mentioned, we worked together on a previous engagement at another company. But I joined Terminus about 3 months ago, actually was a client of Terminus. So I was very familiar with their account-based marketing platform. So I was really excited to join the team there recently. So just from my experiences, both within the company and just being a marketing leader in B2B, what I'm starting to see more in terms of the trends is more of a shift to really kind of focusing on these accounts that companies care about. I think a lot of that has been accelerated this year in terms of everything going on with COVID. I know a lot of marketing budgets were cut. I definitely was impacted by that at my previous role. So you really had to kind of focus in on where you kind of saw the biggest returns. And I think ABM is just prime for that, both from a new logo acquisition front and also from, retaining current customers and customer expansion.
Makes a ton of sense. And we've seen kind of this trend of a lot of companies, and gosh, even, hate to say it, but your old company with the lead focus. And a lot of execs are very lead oriented. They're addicted to the lead model. And then all of a sudden you introduce account-based marketing to the equation. Are you seeing a hybrid approach of doing both lead gen and ABM? Or are you seeing more companies say, you know what, let's go full steam ahead on ABM and kind of not pay any attention or less attention to the lead side of things?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on what kind of company you're in, who you're kind of selling to in terms from an ICP perspective. But I would say most companies are having what I like to refer to as a dual funnel type of approach, where you still have that demand gen engine, but then you also have an ABM program. I think you kind of need both. Inbound is still very important, and people are going to learn, about your company through all your digital channels and advertising events in the past. Not so much right now, that are on hold. But I think, most companies probably need a dual approach because ABM is effective. I think it's proven that it works, but it tends to have a little bit of a longer sales cycle, and you're really focusing on those specific accounts that you want. But there's still a whole bunch of accounts out there that you may not even be aware of that are actually looking for your product or service. So I still think you need to kind of be out there in the market with, your brand awareness campaigns, your advertising, and still kind of like driving that inbound traffic.
Are you seeing any, and I'm thinking back to not just our time together, but in your customer base, any early indicators of success of ABM in terms of metrics of engagement, or like what would be an early success milestone that people should look for if they're new to ABM?
Yeah, so I think one of the misconceptions with ABM is using it to necessarily to drive leads. I think some of the more effective KPIs with ABM is driving engagement within those accounts that you care about. So we really look at engagement, and we look at opportunity generation, and then pipeline. So that we want to make sure that we're moving those metrics on the accounts, the ABM accounts that we're going after. Now we run different types of ABM programs. So some are about new logo acquisition, some are pipeline acceleration. So we're currently running an ABM program that are to our top 100 open opportunities. And the metric there is about deal velocity. So we want to make sure that we're providing that marketing air cover and driving engagement within those opportunity accounts to see if we can close those deals faster. So I think it kind of depends on what your goal is for your different ABM programs in terms of which metric you probably want to measure it on.
Yeah, we're seeing all sorts of interesting trends with ABM and measurement. It can be pretty challenging at times to do that measurement, particularly in Salesforce. We've seen all sorts of challenges there to measure engagement or an MQA. Are you seeing any success there with companies that are going even beyond the engagement? Like what kind of models are you seeing of reporting on ABM? Or is it at this stage in the game a little bit more manual in terms of getting account-based attribution or account-based progress?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a blend. So within our Terminus platform, we have an ABM scorecard, and that's what we use to measure the success of those ABM campaigns. And it shows engagement, again, which is a critical factor that we measure upon, that we do want to drive engagement within those accounts. But we do also measure the pipeline that's generated from those accounts as well.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And you said earlier too, it can be a tactic within your existing customer base as well as new logo acquisition. In this particular year, we saw a big shift of people focused on existing customers and ABM solving there. What are you seeing for 2021? And do you think it's going to be the same kind of mix, or are people going back, do you think, toward acquisition based on what your customer base is doing or thinking about?
I think it's going to be a mix. I do see, although there's been a lot of talk in the news about the vaccine coming out for COVID-19, I think it's still going to take a little while for us to kind of get back to where we were pre-COVID, at least for the first half of the year. So I definitely see it as a balance between new logo acquisition and then retention and expansion for the ABM programs. I think a lot of people don't really think about applying ABM to your current customer base. And I definitely think it has a role there in terms of engaging your current customers. One of the trends I'm starting to see too are organizations actually hiring for customer marketing positions within the marketing team. That was a role that we had added at the beginning of 2020 when I was still with Logi, is we saw a need to really produce content for our existing customers, workshops and webinars for our existing customers, and really tailor some of our marketing efforts towards existing customers. One, to retain them, but also to get them to expand and actually get more value out of the subscriptions that they already had, while letting them know about all the new functionality that's coming as well. So I do think a lot of organizations still are very new logo acquisition focused, and you have to do both. You can't just, focus on existing customers. But I think this year, we definitely have seen more of a shift to balancing those marketing efforts to existing and new. And I don't see that changing in 2021.
Yeah, very insightful observations there. You said a few words there that like pre-COVID, and remembering what that was like. It seems forever ago at the beginning of the year compared to now at the end of the year. And also the word balance you said a few times. I'm curious, it's a stressful time for a lot of people. How are you keeping balanced, or what occupies your time outside of account-based marketing passion, your day job, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of limited in terms of what we can do these days. But for me, it's if I can get outside as much as possible, to be honest, taking daily walks and getting some exercise in. I have to say I have 2 kids, and they are pretty active in sports, and we were still able to do some of those activities over the last few months. They play softball and baseball. So I think that has definitely been a saving grace of being able to still have those kinds of things to look forward to. And that gets us, out of the house, because we're still in full-time virtual school. Everybody's working from home. So everyone's home all the time. So any reason to kind of get out there, is very welcomed.
I feel you on that one. I totally feel you on that one. That is, well, that's great. That's great that you're able to get outside, especially as it gets a little bit cooler here with the winter months. But yeah, it's been a challenging year. Well, Auseh, I really want to thank you. I know you're busy, and really appreciate you cutting time out today to talk with us on Scaling with Insights.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for having me.